Jai Jagannath, we are talking about the lila, the meaning of lila, and specifically the question has come from this website that is elaborating on Quora. This website. This guy is writing on Quora, and his website is pasting this Quora answer. So they're trying to debunk the Puranas. There's no need to debunk the Puranas because this this debunking the Shastra, as a package is an Abrahamic tendency. The Vedic tendency is different. Like, for example, Chanakya was saying that one should take the nectar even from a pot of poison, and good teachings even from someone who's actually uneducated or childish or otherwise not scholarly. And this concept in the Vedic culture is called Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa is because the Hamsa, which is not exactly the swan, but it seems to be another kind of bird that is flying very high, the Himalayan goose. Anyway, the Hamsa. The Hamsa is said to be able to drink the milk, to take the milk from a mixture of milk and water. Which I don't know, we do or not, but that's not the point. The point is, we need to take the good stuff, and not bother too much about the rest. This is another very interesting verse from the Rig Veda. No bhadra kantu vishota, means let all good things come to us from everywhere. So the Puranas are Smriti, scriptures. They're classified as Smriti, not as direct Shruti. So, they can be more or less elaborated. So we can find, in the Puranas, we can find different elaborations, also from different perspectives. Like, for example, we know that we have 18 main Puranas, and 6 of them are from the perspective of devotees of Vishnu, 6 are from the perspective of devotees of Shiva, and 6 are from the perspective of the devotees of Shakti. But they are not opposed to each other. Now, this is unfortunately the mentality of mainstream academia that is based on the Abrahamic ideology bias. So if you go and study philosophy, for example, in mainstream academia, they're not teaching philosophy, because philosophy, the original meaning of the name philosophy, the word philosophy means love for knowledge. If you go to any mainstream university, and you take a major in philosophy, you're not going to learn about love for knowledge. You're going to learn the history of how a series of different people had very different opinions on reality. And each one of these schools, this thinker, is taken separately, and if someone wants to be a philosopher, they have to choose a school. Like choose a political party, choose a sect, a religious sect, because that is the mentality of the Abrahamics. Either you're a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew. You cannot be all of them. You cannot be Abrahamic and non-Abrahamic. You cannot be a Christian and a Hindu. This is only the Hindus can think something like that, but a Christian will never think like that. A Muslim will never think like that. A Jew will never think like that. So, the point is that the Shruti is very fixed. Like the Rik, the Veda Samhita, the four traditional Veda Samhitas, the Upanishads, this, you're not going to change anything there, because there must be one version only. If there is a different version, then we know that it has been tampered with. But the Smriti by nature, can be modified, because someone remembers something and someone remembers something else. So they need to be reconciled. The Smriti wants to give us a multi-dimensional vision. So Puranas and Itihasas are Smriti. Debunking the Puranas is stupid, because you don't need to debunk anything, because the Puranas are good in themselves. They're Shastra. Now, unfortunately, many people follow the colonial, so-called historical progress, in that first the Rig Veda is the first text that was written, and then came the Upanishads, and then came this, and the Puranas are only very recent. Mahabharata is recent, Puranas are recent. That's not exactly true, because the Puranas, the word Purana means ancient. So the Puranas might have been written in relatively recent times, but they are telling ancient stories, ancient teachings. And this is Puranas and Itihasas. Like Itihasas are like Ramayana, as we see here, or Mahabharata, the two main Itihasa, that are most famous. So we have Mahabharata, which was put in writing by Vyas at the beginning of Kali Yuga, just after the Kurukshetra. And we have the Ramayana, who was put in writing much earlier by Vishwamitra. Still, the Ramayana is a Itihasa. Itihasa means a historical poem, but the idea of history is different than what people have today. So, the concept of history in Vedic culture is a non-linear concept. And in fact, we can see even in Puranas and Itihasas, we have different versions, slightly different versions, of the same or similar cyclic avatars. So every kalpa, the main avatars of Vishnu come in a cycle. Every day we have at least 10 avatars are all coming. So we have for example, everybody knows that there are two Varahas at least. One is white, Sveta Varaha, and one is red. And they appeared in different kalpas, so their story is slightly different. And then again, we have different stories about Buddha, for those who want to contemplate the idea of Buddha. So in Bhagavata Purana, it's talking about that. Now also another thing is you know, because they're just spiriti can be edited, can be written later, you know. But the important thing is the main story and the main teachings. The Puranas are practically the lilas of the avatars, you know, described in the Puranas and Itihasas, are like theatrical dramas, you know, that have many layers of meaning, many interpretations, and have been written specifically for a purpose. The story has been written for a purpose. So the avatar is like a group of actors that manifest to play those roles, and the purpose of the theatrical show is, number one, is to give teachings, present teachings through examples, and number two, to support all these teachings through interesting and attractive adventures. So to make the adventures more attractive, they can do some tweaking and changing. Like we see all in all the dramatic performances, sometimes you change the costumes and you change it. In some examples, people can go really preposterous in the showbiz, entertainment business. Like I saw that I think it's Disney produced a new film, a new movie about Pinocchio, in which the blue fairy is black and bald, no hair. So there's nothing blue, maybe except the dress, So, it's like, maybe not, But the main point is the teaching that is transmitted, and the fact that the story is attractive. So, here we have, how Indra raped Ahalya. We don't need to debunk the Puranas. Now, this guy here is doing a lot of maybe this, perhaps, either way, and also is giving a story, but the story is, a little weird. But, also I don't know the English. Myself, I'm not a native speaker of English, but I don't understand until Rama comes to redeem her charisma. I don't think he knows what charisma means. But anyway, Devas find the condition of interpathetic. Agni orders the testicles are to be fitted to Indra, on Indra. And from then, Indra is called Mesha Vrishana, one who has ram's testicles. I think that Mesha Vrishana could also mean something else. Now, for example, we have the Gomedha, Yashvamedha, Gomedha, Naramedha. Medha can mean, marrow, the marrow inside the bones, or can also mean intelligence, understanding. So when we speak of the Ashwamedha Yagya, the colonial translators, claim that you need to, slaughter the horse, and also they went into very imaginative and, gross ideas about what the horse was supposed to do with the queen, But, at the end, because you have to kill the horse to get to the marrow and eat the marrow of the horse. But that's stupid, because we see in the Vedic Shastra, it is describing the horse of the sacrifice as the universe. ontological qualities of the universe. And the Purusha Sukta is clearly saying that the Yagya Purusha, the sacrificial what to say, person is the universe. So, here the story of the testicles of the ram, I think it's I'm not really convinced. Like the Soma, the Soma Yagya. Now everybody is just sticking to the Homa and not so much even that. And nobody is doing the Soma Yagya anymore because in colonial times, the Monia Williams translated that the Soma is booze, is a fermentation, the fermentation of some plant with ghee and flour and this and that. Is apart from the fact that you cannot ferment something where ghee is put. Because ghee, I think that is inhibiting the fermentation somehow. If you want to ferment something, you just have to stick with the sugars, complex sugars or simple sugars, but you have to, you cannot ferment ghee, because that's a different type of chemical transformation. It's called oxidation and not fermentation. But anyway, but the Soma, everybody knows that is in ancient catalogs, in ancient Ayurveda, is the ephedra. And the original story is that you just have to squeeze the juice from the ephedra, and the juice of ephedra has exactly the qualities that are described for the Soma juice. While if you drink a fermented concoction with ghee and stuff, you don't get the results that are described for the Soma juice. Because the Soma juice is strengthening the senses. It's giving more strength, more endurance, more health, and everything. If you drink a fermented concoction with flour and ghee and whatever, if you don't get sick just because it upset your stomach, but if you get drunk, you don't have more strength, you don't have more mental clarity. You don't. You just have a look at the pub. When the pubs close in the night, you see what kind of excellence in mind and body people have when they get out. On the other hand, the ephedra has been used for very long time all over the world, including in the United States, because it's also, the ephedra is a very ubiquitous plant. Means that it's growing more or less everywhere in the world. And until a few decades ago, the extract of ephedra was used as a food supplement for people who had to sit for exams, students and athletes. And at some point it became outlawed officially because it was giving undue advantage to athletes. But in my opinion, it was outlawed because it was too good. So much, and this is confirmed by the fact that ephedra and ephedrine are presently treated like controlled drugs. They're illegal. Even for people who are not athletes or students who are sitting for exam. If I want to take ephedrine, I cannot, because it's illegal, So, it was too good. So they had to outlaw it. So, you get a drunk who has, consumed a fermented beverage with ghee and atta inside with some other plant or something. They're not going to be able to sit for an exam or to win any sport because they will be, they will be drunk. So, this is interpretation that people give according to what they find in dictionaries and everything, because, it's inevitable. But the problem is when we keep repeating them. So the story here, this guy said, the story is a cleverly engineered ploy from the early Vedas and Brahmanas, but twisted in such a way so as to defame Indra. Yeah, possible, but that's not because it was all the Puranas are twisted. I think that maybe this particular story was twisted in a later time, at a later occasion, but this particular, detail is not very important in the general history of the Ramayana. So, does this answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, so we can close this. Also, another point is that you see, it's another sign of Abrahamic influence. This story, they make a big story out of the infidelity of Ahalya, and the downplaying of Indra as a mere mortal, ordinary human being. So, lasty human being as for that. But, this is very typically Abrahamic, because from one side, in a Vedic society, people were not so bothered by the concept of marriage infidelity. Because, marriage did not require monogamy or even a permanent cohabitation. So, so why, Indra raped Ahalya and Surya didn't rape Kunti, for example? Because they didn't care. Anyone could have any number of wives or husbands or whatever. Any intimate relationship was considered a marriage. So it's not, it's not, it was not important. As long as Krishna says in Gita, Dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamasmi bharatarshava. As long as the karma is not against the basic principles of Dharma viruddha. Okay? Dharma viruddha, without these principles of Dharma. Satyam, Daya, Socham, Tapas. The karma should be, first of all, honest. Not cheating, not, sneaky, not, creating any complicated story. Because then we have problems. Then it should be compassionate, means consensual, and nobody should suffer. Nobody should be mistreated. So the idea of rape was not even considered worth of humans, what to speak of devas. So you cannot use the word rape because it's not. It must be consensual. Must be consensual, and not this must be consensual because if you don't consent, I shoot you. That's also not not the point. The point is that all the concerned people should be okay with that. Really, sincerely. Then we have cleanliness, means it has to be, clean, as clean as possible. And it has to be controlled in the sense that you have to, be able to keep it in and, do it at the proper time and the proper place, not any time, any place, Otherwise, the karma is, Krishna says, I am the karma. So, it's not only permissible, but it's actually, appears to be actually good. So, this is one thing. And the other thing, that Indra is not an ordinary human being who needs testicles. Indra is a rain. Why do you need a material body part? It's just a story to help people, get some teaching, But the actual story is not not a particular thing. Like here, the translation: Indra come, your golden steeds come. Yudarama Medatiti, Kanva. Okay, Medatiti. Yuda Meno Rishanasva. Real coagulator. Glover of Ahalya. It's difficult to understand the actual meaning of the Vedic hymns. You cannot just translate as, little fables of a man who was castrated. Yeah, it's very superficial. Very, very limited, very, trivializing, you can say. There is much more there, but we don't need, I don't think that we need to go too deep here. Mahabharata, which is more or less contemporary to Ramayana scripture, maybe not, because if it's I don't like it. I don't like it. So you see, this guy studied at St. Mary's Residential Center School. So he got his, Christian brainwashing. How you claim to be better than any foreigner. Come on, seriously. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, partly, but yeah, some of the things which you said are also, he is also saying that, like, Indra is not a material being
of course. This again, it's like I said in the beginning, the Paramahansa should take what is the best, the nectar from whatever, you'll find good things everywhere, like for example, sometimes I'm, quoting extracts from books that people don't expect me to quote. Like, for example, the other day I quoted on LinkedIn one passage from the book Dune, written by Frank Herbert. I don't know if you heard about this book, this film Dune that came out recently, remade last year.
No, I haven't heard it.
Yeah, well, there's a very nice quote about artificial intelligence, and this book was written, way back, the invention of even the cell phones. You know.
Mhm.
So it was a very good quote. You know, there is, let me see if I can get it quickly, because I posted it here. Let me see. And yeah. Mm-hmm. Right, okay, it's a little more complicated. Or, yeah, population and robotics. Yeah, anyway, so this is here it is. The quote goes, once men turned their thinking over to machines in the hope that this would set them free. But that only permitted other men with machines to enslave them. And this is, serious. It's a, a very, very interesting quote. And I'll tell you in which year the book was written. Frank Herbert. When it was written in 65. It was written in 1965. So in 1965 we still had, this Star Trek, series and that was showing Captain Kirk with a special transmitter that looked like, a very futuristic mobile phone. So just imagine if they could imagine, Alexa. They couldn't. But still, this is a very clear criticism of, misuse of so-called artificial intelligence. The dangers of artificial intelligence. So, yeah. Okay. Any other elaboration on the issue?
No, that's it.
Okay. So, yeah, basically, Vedas adulterated, killing infidels in Vedas. I think, he's trying to do something good. I'm going to go through the whole, the whole website, but not now. But in general, I prefer going directly to the source. Because, it's like you go to a river, If you go to the source, the water is clearer, is better. The quality of the water is better. As the river, goes through lots of places and everything, can pick up a lot of, extra stuff, you can say. So a lot of these extra stuff, some will be nice, because sometimes the river is carrying flowers, and some can be garbage, so it becomes more difficult to distinguish the good things from the garbage and from the original water. So first, we need to go and learn from the original source of the water, of the river. Then we will become able to take the nectar from everywhere, Because we need to know the basis, the foundations, the fundamentals. And if you read what was, written by someone who's putting a lot of his own stuff, how can we find the fundamentals? He has other, his own agenda. So this is why in my books I'm trying to quote, and give information more than giving my own opinions. But sometimes my opinions also come up. But I'm never selling my opinions as Shastra. Yeah. So okay. Anything else about this?
I think for now it's good. Maybe you can go through some. We can see what you
Okay.
get it.
Good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Without we don't want to
Mm-hmm.
criticize anyone. Like they say, let 1,000 flowers bloom.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is trying their sincere people that try their best. They may have different perspective, different
Mm-hmm.
perspectives. That doesn't mean that they're talking about different things.
But for a seeker, when he's stuck between two flowers which are showing different colors, but both are flowers, how he should
Exactly.
navigate?
But we need to be able to understand what is the characteristic of a flower, because otherwise we confuse a plastic garbage bag for a flower. Because if you take a garbage bag, plastic garbage bag, and you tie it up in a particular way, it could look like a flower, but maybe not. It can be difficult. That's why we need to actually become very solid in the understanding of Dharma and Vidya, and we need to get our own realization, our own direct, perspective. We need to see the prakash. We need to actually become realized, and we need to demonstrate such realization in practice with our life. Like, for example, if someone says that they are on the Brahman level, but they have strong birth prejudice, strong bodily identification, they're cheaters. They're not genuine. They're just out for some selfish advantage. They are not realized. So whatever they say, what is the benefit? Like, for example, let's say that someone is talking about vegetarianism, or maybe they're the president of a vegetarian society. But you go and see that he's eating beef, that kind of like, come again, what are you talking about? Are you talking about vegetarian? Why are you talking about vegetarian? There's some basic things, It doesn't mean how they dress, or if they are married or sannyasis or brahmacharis or whatever. It doesn't matter if they are doing a lot of rituals or whatever. But at least you need to show that you are applying the basics in practice. The basics. If you cannot even apply these basics, okay, then we talk about Harry Potter, it will be better. You find a lot of good quotes in Harry Potter's book. Now, we don't get them because I left them in India. But there are so many, good ideas that are coming also from outside India, So that would be good, What we do doesn't mean that we have to get the whole package, because one apocryphal gospel says that Jesus said the kingdom of God is inside yourself. Then the Christianity is good. It's one line of one apocryphal gospel that is not even recognized by the church. You cannot use it to validate the entire, universe of Christianity. It's preposterous, you know. So this is something we have to be very careful, because I have seen many people have this tendency of worshipping blindly. So someone, writer, politician, or whatever, is doing something good, then nobody can dare to say anything, any doubt or whatever, because that is nothing. Anyone can do something good. Doesn't mean they're 100% good. So this nice guy, this Kiran Krishna, I think I met him somehow, somewhere in the past, but I'm not particularly impressed. It's okay, nothing big. Okay. Right. Anything else on the subject?
No, I think pretty much clear, yeah.
Lots of. Okay then. Thanks. Let's close here.